Seeker and or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the Truth Seeker podcast.
Gargoyles, psychics, everything's ungodly. Dark Savage.
Streaming live at truthseeker.com.
She's not a Christian.
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark sided stuff.
And now, your host, Truth Seeker.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how's it going? This is the Truth Seeker podcast. I'm your host, Truth Seeker. Excited and delighted to be with you guys again for another amazing, exciting episode where we always cover all things spiritual. It all ties back into spirituality in some shape or form. I'm excited about today's episode. It's going to be really good. Make sure you guys hang out with us. Before we get started with anything, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody supporting my work via Patreon. Without your help, this show would not be possible. We are a listener supported and funded show. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for believing in the vision, the ministry, and what this has evolved into over the years. So thank you guys for believing in the work. I want to give a huge shout out to some of the latest supporters within the last week or so. So shout out to Sam VA. Thank you so much for coming on. Jordan Lowe, shout out to you. Manu, thank you. Mary Carrier and Crix, CRX. Thank you guys for believing in the work and partnering with me. It means the world. If you'd like to support, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeeker. There you get access to my entire discography of music, which is like 200 plus songs. You get access to our Thursday night School of the Mystics, which is the community aspect to what we're building here with the podcast, and behind the scenes stuff, bunch of really cool stuff. Head on over there, check it out. I've tried to make it worth your while. You won't be disappointed. The new book is out. My new book, Spirit Realm, Angels, Demons, Spirits, and the Sovereignty of God, actually just turned 1 month old. The book has been out a month, and it's doing very well. Thank you guys for all the support. And if you haven't got a copy, go to Amazon.com, type in Truth Seeker. You'll be able to get it. Or just go to truthseeker.com, whichever. It's all good. Check it out. Thank you guys for all the support. Without further ado, we're just going to jump into today's discussion. My guest today, the beautiful, the great, the amazing Miss Dee Wallace. Dee, welcome to the Truth Seeker podcast. How are you?
Oh, I'm really glad to be here.
Oh, man, we're going to get it in, man. I seen, and this has probably a month ago now, somebody shared an article. It was an interview done with the Sun magazine, I think it was, and it was saying the mom from E.T. talks about aliens, and I was like, what? Or says aliens are real. And I was like, what? I gotta check this out. So I read the interview, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then I was introduced to your spiritual work, and that you're an energy healer, and you do summits and webinars and travel and do private sessions with people. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I got to have you on the show. Welcome.
Well, I'm glad you found me. What a weird way, if you just get out of the way, the universe just hooks you up with the people you're supposed to hook up with.
Yep. It all comes full circle right at the perfect time. But I was like, I mean, who better to talk to about UFOs, aliens, and interdimensional ETs than the mom from E.T.?
Well, there might be a few people on the planet that are a little more educated about aliens than I am, but I can tell you what I believe and what I know from my spiritual work. I'm sure a lot of your followers were followers of Dolores Cannon.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Dolores found my work years ago and took me on tour with her, and we had many, many in-depth discussions about aliens, and we both agreed and knew that absolutely aliens are real. I mean, I think it's pretty egotistical to think that we're the only ones around here, right? And I think the movie E.T. really got it right. They don't want to interfere in our lives. They can't interfere in our lives, but they are here to guide and direct us if we're open to that energetically. So that's my belief system. That's what I know. I believe they're good guys. I know they're good guys. But you know, like anything in energy, if you want help from any other energy, you've got to ask for it. If you don't ask for it, you're not going to receive it. And interestingly enough, in the original Hebrew, ask meant claim or demand.
Wow.
So in the good book, when it says ask and you receive, it's demand this, claim this as yours, and then you receive it, which is a whole different perspective than what we were taught in church, right?
Yeah, because it already is. Like, it already is so. Like, it's all coming from the I am. It's not I'm going to be. It's I already am.
Yeah.
This aspect or better version of myself, it's already within, right?
You bet. We're a fractal of God, and my definition of God is all thought and all possibility. And we are our own all thought and all possibility. So if we limit our thoughts, we limit our possibilities of creation. On this plane, we are the creators of us. We are the gods of us. Nobody can think a thought for us, feel a feeling for us, hold a perspective that we don't want. We have to choose what we believe in, and it's through that choice that we find our freedom.
There's a beauty in that of just seeing where everyone is, whether it's if they believe something that's contrary to what we believe, or they think we're even crazy for having this conversation. Like, there's a beauty in their perspective, or even in their innocence of what this God is, because I feel like they're seeing an aspect of the all, of the conscious mind, and they're fixated. They almost have a magnifying glass on this one aspect of God, and it's all they can see. It kind of plays out in every aspect of their life, whether it's like a wrathful God or a vengeance God versus an all-loving and all-accepting God. Like, they all kind of come into play. Like, whatever you believe for that God to be, it's like, I am. That's okay, I'll be that to you.
Yep. As you believe, it's delivered to you.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie The Matrix got it pretty right. Pick a door, any door, you can go through that door and have that experience. If you don't like the experience you're having, stop going into that room, pick a different thought, a different room, a different perspective that's going to serve you. But for some reason, we think that we're stuck with our belief systems, which are creating the lives that we have right now. You're not stuck with anything. We're always at choice, and we're always in creation. And it's interesting that you brought up the I am principle, because all my work is based on that. And again, God said, I am that I am. I have to say I'm God if I'm going to be God. And it says in the I am principles, anything you say after I am in any form is literally a direction to your energy. So you say, oh my God, I'm so tired. You are literally directing your energy to experience being more tired. Oh my God, I never have enough money equals I am a person who never has enough money. Again, a direction that you're giving yourself to match that definition of who you are.
Yep. It's interesting because, like, I feel like a lot of people who I work with, I'm sure you too, they're kind of like set on default. It's almost like a game of Plinko where they just kind of drop the Plinko in and it just falls wherever it may. And I end up in this job, I end up in this town, this city, or whatever. It's kind of like by default. They didn't have any choice, or at least they feel like they didn't have a choice until they understand
or they
universal
didn't
law.
Exercise their choice. If they didn't exercise their choice, and you're not going to exercise your choice as long as you believe stuff just happens.
Yep.
Right? And we're victims to it. That's just simply not true. And the only person that you have to worry about defining you or limiting you or expanding you is you. And this is science. It's science and spirituality, which actually they're all saying the same thing, religion, all of it. But energy, number one, has to have direction. And number two, energy will shift according to the energy that comes into its field. So if you want to change your experience in your life, especially with other people, and we have to interact with other people pretty much to create on this physical plane, the more you shift the energy within you and your belief system, the more your world has to shift around you, and that's science.
Yep, I'm with you. And it's when people become conscious of that they like are a creator themselves versus they're just like a victim, feel like they're pushed around and I'm just kind of here by lot or by default. People are already like master manifestors, and then they don't even know it. Like they've manifested that life, even if it is a life that they didn't want. It's there, but they become conscious of it, that they get to kind of work with the universe, work with God to change it and create the life that they want for themselves by being conscious of it, right?
I have a great talk on TED Talk on YouTube about how our little children are running our adult lives. And it's very insightful. For example, one of the big lessons, teachings that I received growing up in the Midwest was, they're the rich people, we're the good people. So what that says to a kid is, oh, if I ever make a lot of money, I won't be a good person. And all of that is very subconscious, right? So cut to me, doing E.T. and becoming a household name and being very much in demand. When I started really increasing my money, my little girl pulled way back. And I felt guilty, and I felt like I didn't deserve it because that little girl in me was going, oh, you're not going to be a good person if you make this money. So it took me a couple of years to really train my brain to believe a different way, to choose a more empowering belief system that I love money and I love making money and I do great things with my money. I do great work with charities. I give a lot to my family. So, it's our consciousness ultimately that decides how we use anything in our life. Other people, money, our bodies, everything.
Yep. Yeah, that's a big one. Just kind of getting that right view of it all versus these, paradigms that have been passed down to us. And most people are operating out of these broken paradigms that they don't even know. It's just like by default. Yep. They just, whether it's from religion or, money means I have to work hard and I have to always be gone. Dad wasn't around because he was always out making money. So we have these false ideas tied around money that we think, well, if I'm going to have money, that means I'm not going to be home, or that means this is going to happen, or whatever the case is.
I've worked with a lot of clients too that they'll start out by going, I don't know why I can't make money. Both my parents made a lot of money. Well, a lot of it can go back to what you just said, that making money for them as a child was connected to mommy and daddy aren't ever here. So money means I don't get to be with my loved ones. Money means I'm lonely. Money, it has a negative thing attached to it. And so they spend their experience being afraid to make money because they don't want to make money and repeat the same family pattern. And again, they have to realize they get to choose the patterns and the formulas for their life. You get to choose that. Your freedom is always in your choice about what you want to do.
Yeah. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, the promises of God are yes and amen. And I have a revelation of that. It's like whatever we put out, the universe is saying yes and amen. Again, like you just said, like I'm broke, busted, and disgusted. Yes and amen. I'll never have enough money. Amen. Praise God. Or we have to flip that. We have to say, well, I am, money is continually coming through to me through multiple facets and increasing quantities each time that it comes. The universe says, yes and amen. I'm blessed. Yes and amen. So whatever we put out comes back. Going back to the whole abracadabra, verbiage of I create it as I speak it even, right? Yeah,
and you're so right. And why it is that way, if you want to put religion with science, our hearts and our brains are electrical. And so what we send out has literally an electrical connection to the universe. And the universe will proudly and happily give you back whatever you choose, whatever you're focused on, whatever you're thinking about. That's why in the good book, it says, think only on these things: love, joy, compassion.
Yep.
Same thing. Science says whatever you think about, you put your focus on and you create more of, right?
Yep. Before we went live earlier, I shared out a thumbnail and snippet of the interview that we were going to do, and it has the word alien in it. And alien is a weird word for a lot of people. I deal with a lot of people who are in religion or coming out of religion, churches and things like that. One of my friends said, as soon as I read the title, he said something in me triggered, because there's this weird thing. We've come up watching a lot of these movies where the aliens were the almost like demons. They were bad guys, right? There were evil aliens among them or whatever. And so people are triggered, and I'm reading in the chat now while we're live, there's a lot of people who believe, and I try to work to undo that. I'm of the opinion that I think the word alien, as far as our understanding, is interchangeable with angels. But some people would say that they are bad guys. They abduct people and they're evil. And does that go back to what you said about like they can't really interfere with our free will and they can't really just like do that? Or what do you think is the whole deal behind that so-called phenomena?
I think people are always afraid of what they don't know and what they don't understand.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my other business, my movie business, has really run with that fear, and the fear of the world coming to the end. And if you parallel that with when we were kids, and there's a lot of studies done about this, by the way, and kids always want to watch the bad, scary parts, the evil witch. And, when we used to watch The Mermaid, my daughter Gabrielle used to say, Mommy, lady get big again, right? Where she comes out of the ocean. She's so scary. Well, same thing that with horror films, and same thing with our fears about aliens and being taken over. We can practice being fearful while we are safe. And that's the best place to practice handling your fear. But I think the other thing that's really important to understand is if God is all thought and all possibility, he's what we call good and what we call bad. Because as you believe, that experience in your life will be delivered to you. I know, and I do know, that aliens are good and supportive and loving. So that's all the experience I bring into my world.
Yep.
E.T. got it right.
Yeah, there was a couple of those movies out at that time, and Spielberg was a part of a lot of them. I mean, Cocoon, where they kind of showed, I think Flight of the Navigator, they showed the loving aspect and the awe and wonder that we have with our space brothers, or the aliens, if you will. But then there was other movies that came out that were more fear-based. You were a part of an evil alien movie that really scared me as a kid, was one of my biggest nightmares, but was still one of my favorite movies, Critters. Like the evil alien critters, right? And you joke and you make fun of how cheesy they look and silly, but as a little kid watching it, it scared the mess out of me.
Well, I hear that a lot, yeah. And it was so funny, too. There was so much humor in it.
Yeah, right. As a kid, though, I didn't get the humor.
Right.
I seen the little monsters, yeah.
I mean, I hear from people all the time, oh, my God, Dee, I'm a parent now, and I rewatch Cujo. It's a whole different movie now that I'm a parent, right? But again, if you just stop and go, okay, do I like to be scared? Is that why I'm holding on to this belief? Where did that belief come from? I mean, I didn't come in knowing when I was a baby that aliens were out to get me. I mean, what triggered that belief in me, and does it serve me, and do I really want to keep owning it? Because if it's not serving me, maybe I'm just going to try, I know they're here. I know they're loving. I know they're here to guide us toward our higher selves, right? If you hold that perspective about all energy, you're going to get a lot of different experience in your life than if you think energy is out to get you in any way.
Mm-hmm. I agree. What about well, I'm gonna say this. I just seen you in 3 from Hell, which was amazing. So good.
One of my prettier parts, don't you think?
Oh my God. Yeah, you were a badass. But it was awesome. It was great, and it was funny because I was watching some interviews with you, and you're like, you're gonna have to pay attention, because if you're not watching, you might miss me. You might not think it's me, because I'm kind of, it's a different role. But it was really good. I mean, how was it working with Rob Zombie and those guys?
Oh, I adore Rob. I literally adore him. I love him as a person, and I love him as a director. He knows exactly what he wants. He surrounds himself with incredibly talented people. I think he's a genius. And at the same time, he really respects the talent that he brings in, and he gives us so much room to bring in our own ideas and create in the moment. And that's why I think he gets... Everything Rob does looks so alive, in the moment.
Does he remind you of anybody from like the 80s? Does he, or even beyond? Because I know he's into a lot of like really classic horror stuff. Does he remind you of any other producers or anything like that, or directors?
No, Rob stands alone, baby. Rob is Rob, and he does it his way, and it works for him. And fortunately, he uses me a lot, and it really works for me.
Yeah. Now, what about Sid? How was it working with him? Amazing.
Sid
Amazing person.
was a
Yeah.
friend. You know, we were friends for a long time, and we love to share our views on the healing work.
Wow.
You know, he did a lot of spiritual things too. He was just a kind, sweet, beautiful man. It was a big loss. I was so happy that he was well enough that he could come in and have that last hurrah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so beautiful. I wanted to ask you too, we're talking about horror now, and I'm really big into it. There's a weird dichotomy there because, especially the work we kind of both do, we're in the healing ministry, right? We work to kind of help people work through their fears and crazy beliefs. But then again, I'm in love with the horror genre. Like, I love the emotion, the feeling that it brings. And so some people would think that, hey, this is a kind of weird dichotomy. Like, you're into like horror, you're into dark stuff, but then again, you're into the light as well. Like, how does that balance?
I don't look at it as the dark stuff when I'm doing it. For me as an actor, it's fun, right?
Yeah.
It's fun and it's exciting, and I get to do all the great emotional work that I love to do. And so those are all positive, energetic places to live, right? And again, people go to see the horror things in order to practice handling their fear and having fun with fear, right? So I know the press tries to get me on that all the time. And I just say, look, I spend a lot of my time running away from monsters and dealing with scary things, and then I spend the other part of my life healing people or helping them heal themselves from fear. And I can tell you that the monster we're most afraid of is ourself. You know, it's, guys, you know that your fears about money and your fears about the future and your fear, what if, that's your hell that you make for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you can champion your thoughts and hold yourself in the positive of what you want, the more heaven you live in.
Do you think it's healthy for us spiritually to kind of like watch some of these movies that kind of let us go on a roller coaster ride of emotions? Like even some of the newer stuff that like Jordan Peele is doing, where like I'm laughing at one moment and then I'm scared and then I'm like, hey, this is kind of like socially awkward. And there's so many different feelings that, whether it's music or movies, is a big one that kind of brings that stuff out. Do you think that that's like therapeutic for us to kind of get some of that stuff out and kind of make us feel young again, that we're feeling all of those different feelings in watching a movie?
Well, I think it's good that we all practice feeling more. So many of us have really turned that off in order to protect ourselves in life.
Yep.
We shut our heart down. We shut our chakras down. That stops the flow of energy. And then we get sick. You know, any kind of illness is just your body going, hey, you haven't addressed this energetically. But I don't know if I would. You know what? I'm going to ask my channel. Hold on. I work with a pendulum. My balance. Well, they're saying yes. That, okay. So it becomes spiritual if in these journeys through all the horror stuff, you learn not to succumb to the fear, that you're conscious enough that you can walk out of that theater and go, well, that was a ride. That was cool. And in my life, I know all good things come to me. Mm-hmm. Right. But if you go in, say you're going into a movie about a serial killer, which is a horror film in its own right. And that triggers a sense memory from a past life or something.
Yeah.
And you go, oh shit, that could happen. That could really happen to me. And then you send out that electrical signal and you start drawing that experience to you so that you can learn and get very clear that what you're focusing on, you're bringing to you. It's all a practice of our power over energy and lowering light into physical form.
I think it's probably different for everybody as well, right? Like some people are drawn to it. I run straight to it. You know, I love that. I love feeling alive. It's getting scared. Whoa, that was close. That was intense, right?
Well, that's why I like doing them.
Yeah.
Because I love all the emotional ride.
Exactly. I met this lady one time. She was going through a breakup and she was worried about her boyfriend was like trying to break in the house and he was threatening to kill her, and he's literally trying to kick the door in on some nights. And we went over there because she was wanting to go through some healing and stuff. And she wanted prayer. And she was watching A&E, like Lifetime or something. And it was a Lifetime movie about a girl running from her husband who was trying to kill her. He's like, so we're over there talking to her about this scenario. And literally on the TV, the dude's breaking down the door trying to get in to kill her. And she's screaming with the phone. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know if you need to be watching this because you're kind of like... those emotions of fear and stuff, right?
That's good creating. She just didn't know she was. Mm-hmm. But that's how creation works. The more, that's a great challenge with illness, too. It's when we get ill, we keep focus on fixing the illness and getting rid of the illness. Our attention is, for good reason, pulled toward the malady, as opposed to, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. I acknowledge it. And I know the best thing that I can do is focus on the state of health and laugh a lot and eat good and nourish myself and love myself. I mean, let's just start there. Self-love, my God, it's really the key to everything. If you want to change your life, you got to love yourself more.
Yeah.
And we're taught when we were little not to do that. It's blasphemous. It's egotistical, blah, blah, blah. But when you truly love yourself, you give the best to everybody else, because if you don't, it hurts you.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of people who struggle with that. I know that's one thing you said in a couple of different interviews and your TED Talk as well, where you was like, I think I love my dog more than I love myself, and I don't have, it doesn't rival it at all. And so that's a good question, I think, for people to ask themselves about, do they really love themselves? I deal with a lot of people in religion, and religion is like, I'm born a sinner. There's nothing good inside of me. I'm dirty. I'm filthy, and those kind of things. And they keep that. They don't never like ascend or maybe get renewed. And now I'm clean. It's like they stay in this place of like, that they're not worthy. So when it comes to money, they're not worthy. When it comes to a good relationship, they're not worthy. When it comes to having their dreams fulfilled, they're not worthy.
Yeah, and I would like to ask them, aren't you tired of that? What does that get you? What kind of experience are you living with that belief system? What they told you is wrong. But if you want to choose to continue to believe those things, then you will continue to create the experience in this lifetime of not being loved, being love itself, being joyful in your creation process. It's all up to you.
That's good. I want to open it up now for if anybody has any questions in the chat. If you guys have any questions for Dee,
I'd love that. Yeah.
Go ahead and shoot them my way, and I'll try to translate them over. You also talked about in some other interviews, you were talking about how like there's not a lot of true horror movies anymore. Like true,
Yeah.
we lost something. I think we lost it with CGI. I think CGI
Well,
we
for
lost.
sure,
a lot.
that was a good. Yeah, I agree.
The animatronics and the puppets, which you've had the privilege to work with, I wish they would come back. I think we're starting to see them a little bit come back. But what do you think about
the
that?
new Critters Attack, that when they asked me to do that, that was my first question. Are you using actual critters or is it going to be CGI? Because I don't have any interest in doing it. If it's CGI, they talk to me about Cujo all the time.
Yeah.
I would never do another Cujo anyway, but I especially wouldn't do it because it would all be CGI. And it's just a whole different experience for the actors and therefore for the, public watching it. But I think, too, we went through a phase where it was, hi, here's our 5 main characters. Watch how gruesomely we can kill each one of them. That's not a horror film. A horror film takes time to develop the personalities and the relationships so that you really care about the people. We are seeing a few, like The Quiet Place.
Oh, yeah.
Classic horror. I love The Quiet Place.
They're bringing back the Creep Show as well, which has been good.
Yeah.
Creep Show is great.
So you're us, you're seeing some really classic horror films done as A films now with A-list people, right? Mm-hmm. And so that gives them more credence. But let's face it, the Oscars have never looked at brilliant horror films and gone, well, gosh, whether it's a horror film or not, this performance was amazing, or that film was incredible, or this director, or, it's just been kind of a given that it doesn't fit into the award place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. At least Jordan Peele did. I don't know if you call that horror. I mean, that's a little bit of everything with what was it, Get Out, which was a phenomenal. He did make a lot of noise with that, which is good, and he's sticking on that vein, which is awesome because he's brilliant with
and
his
he's making a lot of social commentary.
Yeah.
At the same time, but so did The Howling. The Howling was really about the fight of good and evil, and what people would give up of themselves in order to get what they wanted, which is also an old belief handed down to us that if we get what we want, we have to sacrifice ourselves in some way. Just not true. Cujo, for me, was never a horror film. It was always about a mother's love for her kid and how far she would go to protect her kid. And I had a mother that was a single mother, that we were really poor, and my mom, I don't know how she got us through, but she got 3 kids through and raised us with such integrity and work ethic and love.
Yep, that's awesome. You also made an analogy about the E.T. film as well, as you know what I'm saying, about it being not so much about E.T. trying to go home, but about us trying to get home as well. Yep. You talk a little bit about that?
Girl, isn't that what we're talking about? This whole conversation has been, how do you get back to the home of you?
Yeah.
Of who you are, your I am presence, your creative force. We're all striving for that answer. And the answer is really so simple, and we've heard it forever. I mean, Peter Pan, think happy thoughts and you fly, right? The Wizard of Oz, you had the power all along, Dorothy, to get back home. E.T., open your heart, keep your heart open. That's the only way, you get back home. And yet none of us do it. We don't do it consciously 24/7. And that's the work I teach, is how to choose to do that first. Love yourself enough to give that to you, and then train your brain to refocus what you are thinking about.
Yeah, I'm with it. Steven Spielberg, and there was a recent, it's not recent, I've seen it recently, but there was an interview with him at a college somewhere, and they were asking him, what does he really believe in aliens? And he took this long pause, and he was like, yes, I do. And everybody cheered, because they knew, like, you know, there's some truth to some of these films that he's putting out and stuff like that. I don't know if you can confirm or deny if you've even heard this before, but I was listening to an interview, and someone was saying that they heard that Steven Spielberg collects alien implants that were taken out of people, like has a collection of. Have you heard anything like that? No, I haven't heard anything. And it would be something cool to collect if it was such a thing.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Why? Mm-hmm. Why? I'm interested. Why do you think that would be a cool thing to have?
Because nobody else has it.
I see. What the hell are you going to do with them all? And what's the purpose? And no. And, you know, I'm not a big believer of the implant theory anyway.
I'm not either.
So,
and especially,
it would surprise me very much if Steven spent his. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard it just mentioned in a podcast that somebody kind of like stated it like as a matter of fact and just kept on. I was like, hold on, you gotta go back. Was there any proof? Is there any pictures? Like, what is this? You know?
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about the whole abduction phenomena is that like that kind of died out in the 80s and 90s. You don't hear that term anymore. If anybody is talking about UFOs or aliens or anything like that, they're calling themselves contactees or experiencers, and it's something that they kind of initiated even on their own. Are you familiar with the CE5 initiative at all?
I'm not.
Contact of the fifth kind, where people are going out and trying to make their own contact under the night skies through meditation, singing prayers, and trying to get ships to manifest.
That's a no-brainer for me, because you can connect with energy anywhere. Whenever I do a private session over the phone from England or Amsterdam, I'm connecting with energy. I'm sending an intention out. I am opening up a field where I have information about that person that I'm channeling for. I'm connecting with that energy the same way you connect with what you call God, through prayer or affirmations or nature. You know, when my mother was in her last days, I was not back there, but every day I spent a lot of time sending my energy back to her room, playing her religious songs for her, dancing with her because she loved to dance. Years later, this amazing woman was reading for me, and she said, by the way, your mother's coming through. And she wants to thank you for playing her religious songs and dancing with her as she would. So I had not shared that with anybody.
Wow.
Right? But my energy, I knew. That's what deja vu is all about, is connecting with it. And anybody can do it, guys. Anybody can do it. But you have to ask, which, remember, in the original Hebrew is claim or demand. So I am connected. I do trust myself. Every morning I say I am, and I am connected to the highest information, the highest knowledge, and the highest understanding. And that's the last one. That's the big one, right? Because a lot of people can kind of extrapolate energy that they kind of sort of get from somebody's field, but to really understand what the message is, that's a whole other thing. I had another reader tell me when I was married to Christopher Stone, my late husband, she said, "You're going to have an affair right in front of him." I said, "Oh, I don't think so. I'll be dead." That summer, I was doing Annie Get Your Gun. He was in the audience, and I had an affair with Frank right in front of him. So she got pieces of the information, but she didn't get the highest understanding. And the unfortunate thing is that a lot of people go to a reader and they give them this information that's lower understanding, and then they go, "Oh, okay, that's what's going to happen," and they proceed to create their life around that limited information instead of going, "Yeah, no, I'm not creating that. I'm creating this."
Yeah,
right.
We have the power to do that. That's so weird how people just accept it or whatever. You know.
Yep.
I remember seeing
because they don't want to take responsibility for their own creation.
True. I mean, a lot of times that's why they're going to a psychic anyway. They just, or they just need help. They need another opinion.
Or it's fun.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, I remember seeing a episode of Montel, and this was when Sylvia Browne was at her height, right in the 90s and stuff. And she gave a reading to a lady in the audience, and she was asking her about love and happiness and things like that. And the lady stood up and she asked her about this, and Sylvia said, Your first husband is not the one, dear. I'm sorry to tell you. It's going to be the second one. You're not going to find true happiness until you're second. And she was in their first marriage. And so for me, it's like, hold on. She like kind of planted this notion. So when she falls on rocky times with her lover, okay, Sylvia Browne told me the second one was my true love. That stuff kind of happens a lot with these people who are just kind of throwing stuff out there, huh?
It happens all the time, and unfortunately, it can really confuse and kind of collapse your creation process.
Yeah, the grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it, right?
Yeah, and that's you.
Mm-hmm.
Everything starts with you. If you're going, "You're the reason I can't," or "If you weren't here, I wouldn't be able to do this," you're giving away your power, guys. The power's right here. And then you play with other energy to create that very clear intention.
Christy here in the chat wants to know if you've ever seen any angels or demons manifest physically, or UFOs or anything like otherworldly kind of crossover. I know energetically, spiritually, lifestyle, synchronicity, we see it all the time, right? But have you ever seen anything like manifest, like any types of other beings and stuff?
Yeah, I don't know if you'd call it another being. Again, everything's energy, and that energy will take form around your belief system.
True.
But when I was a senior in high school, my father committed suicide. And I lived in, my room was a sun porch. So 3 walls were windows. And I would lay on my right side facing a mirror. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I looked, and there was this bright light in my mirror. And I thought, gosh, I didn't put the curtains down, and all the curtains were down, going, where the hell is that light coming from? And then the light left the mirror and hovered in the middle of the room. And I knew instinctively it was my dad. And I heard, not the way you're hearing me, but I heard, "It's not your fault. I don't want you to waste a lot of time blaming yourself. I'm free. This is part of what I needed to learn. It's all good. Get on with your life," basically was the message.
Wow.
And, I had no fear. Like in the movies, if this would have happened. Oh my God, but when it really happens, you just don't have any fear around it. And I said, okay, Daddy. And the light went back into the mirror and went away. So I used to get messages all the time when I was little, like I knew that my grandmother, something was wrong with at my grandmother's house. And my mom got up in the middle of the night and took me over there, and the cat had gotten up and turned all the gas on. Wow. And, but you have to, all kids do that. All kids have the ability to do that. We just write it off as their imaginary friends or whatever's going on. But we're all connected, guys. We're all connected. All you have to do is reach up and go, I want that information. I am claiming the truth around what I want to know here. And it has to come to you because energy has to follow direction.
Do you think that we create it? I know we pull it into our experience, obviously, whatever you believe and whatever you're looking for, you're going to find. If you're looking for the evil aliens, you're going to find them. They're everywhere. Yep. If you're looking for the good aliens, you're going to find them. They're everywhere. Whatever you're looking for money, it's everywhere. It really is. There's an abundance of money. There's not a lack of whatever. However you shape your mind. Now, what about like some out of this world stuff? Again, aliens. We've gone out looking for UFOs and trying to signal them, and they show up. They come to us.
There's UFOs there. We've made contact with them. All this information is coming out, right? But I think the fact that the government doesn't want to send all that information out, then we come in with our creative abilities and go, oh, it's because it's bad. It's because it's dangerous. They don't want to scare us,
Yeah, for sure.
So we take a fact and we make out of that fact what our reality and our experience is by what we believe about that fact. I mean, you see it going on in politics now, guys. Dear God, flip a coin and you can see it one way, flip a coin, you see it a whole different way. And therein lies how we create our world. Depending on what you create with yourself, then your energy goes out, affects thousands of other people, and then hopefully the 100th monkey, which is the majority of energy, the simplest way to put it. When the majority of energy thinks it's positive instead of negative, then everybody will come over to that side. Right now, especially in politics, we're at a 50-50 place where we go, oh, it's all good, it's all bad.
Yeah.
Right? It's all Democrat, it's all Republican. It's all, everybody's lying. We're all bringing out the truth so we can raise our consciousness. Anything, any subject that you want to pick, you can find the yin and the yang about. And again, where your freedom is, and if you want to create a life of joy and abundance and happiness and peace, your freedom is, which one do you want to choose?
We got another question here from Chris Garner. He, and I guess since you've been in Hollywood for so long, and you could probably speak to something on this, or at least give an opinion, this whole Epstein thing, which is kind of big news, and the internet won't let it die. The people want answers, but they don't feel like there's nothing they can do. What about this whole Epstein thing and this stuff?
Oh, I don't think they want answers. I think they're all involved in the scandal. It's a horror film.
Yeah, real life horror film.
The impeachment proceedings. It's a horror film. We're all going to get our jollies off, right? Instead of going, okay, I am standing in the knowing that I am creating a world where all men and women respect each other, honor each other, treat each other with dignity. But we become so focused in the drama, and then we create more drama, and then we don't create the world we want.
We're like caught in a loop.
Yeah, we are. And the loop eventually implodes upon itself, which is us.
Yeah, we have to break free from that. We're healing our minds and being conscious about the type of stuff we're letting in and retweeting and sharing out and all that. I think we have a big part to play in that.
Oh, you bet. And if you want to understand even more how big a part you play, read a book called Power versus Force. It's all about how your energy can affect thousands of people on the planet.
Yep, it's good stuff. Well, Dee, we're at the end of the hour. Go ahead and plug your work because you do healing sessions. I want to get a healing session from you. And I think I should get a discount because of the critters thing. Like I'm still dealing with some residual
You got it.
fear.
You can find me at IamDeeWallace.com. A lot of great free stuff. Wonderful past life regression that Dolores Cannon did with me that's free on the homepage to listen to. I'd also like to give a shout out to my daughter's book, Eat, Pray, #FML, which is helping a lot of people that have been used, abused, abandoned, disrespected to really get their power back. It's available on Amazon, as are all my books.
Awesome. And just to have people know that, like, if you go to Dee's website and get a session, they're not like way overpriced. Like it's something doable to do a session with you. It's something that almost anybody can afford. So make sure y'all go check that out. And I'm going to take you up on that. I definitely want to get a session with you and work through some stuff.
Just let me know, baby. I'm here for you.
Pensacon 2020. You're on schedule for that. And it's an hour away. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna get a picture with you, give you a hug, and get an autograph.
I would love that.
I'll be able to meet you there in person.
I'll look for you.
Pensacola, Florida. Well, Dee, thank you so much for coming on, hanging out with me. I really enjoyed this. I'd love to do it again. Thank you so much. It means the world to me.
Great hour. Love to everybody.
All right, and you also have a radio show that you do every Sunday, right? You take callers and.
I do, and it's a free call-in show. It's 9 a.m. every Sunday morning Pacific time. If you go to my website, IamDeeWallace.com, it's on the homepage. It'll tell you how to call in.
Good stuff. Thank you so much, Dee.
Love.
Many blessings. Bye-bye.
Love, love, love. Bye-bye.
Dee Wallace, the mother from E.T., the mom from Cujo, the mom from Critters, and so much more. She's the prison guard from 3 from Hell. I mean, go to her IMDb. Like, she's done so much work. It's just a beautiful blessing for me to be able to talk to her. And a sign that kind of some of the stuff we're talking about got some validity to it, man. That you create this stuff. Like, this conversation was created. I want to give a shout out to Karen, my friend Karen, who shared an article about Dee Wallace in Aliens, and I had no idea that she was an energy healer, no idea that she was vocal about any of this stuff. And I looked at that article and looked her up, and I was like, wow, gotta have her on the show. Thank you so much, Karen Britt, for sharing that article with me. But I want to talk to you guys just about the power of manifestation. Like, there's a book that just came back into my consciousness. Somebody shared a meme about the Scholastic Book Fair. How many of you guys remember the Scholastic Book Fair? Like, every couple months at your school, there would be a book fair to come in, and they just set up books and posters and all that kind of stuff. And your parents send you to school with a few dollars to buy a couple books, right? The Scholastic Book Fair. They still do that. I remember buying a book, and the book that I got was How to Contact Your Favorite Celebrity. The version I got was your favorite sports stars, and it had their addresses, it had their fan clubs, their publicists, and it was a book full. And I was like probably 9 years old, and I bought this book, and I literally went back to the classroom, and I'm going through it, and I'm just, like, writing letters to my I remember Scottie Pippen from the Chicago Bulls, like writing him a letter, wanting to contact him and just telling him how much of a fan he is and a fan I am of him and the Bulls and stuff. And like, just that book came back up because I seen a meme that said something about Scholastic Book Fair, and I remembered the book and I Googled it. I'm like, you know what? I need to get that book again, because like this podcast and just everything that I've built, like literally the answer for me, how to contact, how to access your favorite celebrity. Like, I'm talking to people on this podcast that I grew up listening to their music, watching their movies. If you told me when I was 5 years old that I was going to be I'm going to have a podcast and interview the mom from E.T., I wouldn't even have understood. I don't even like watching that, and these celebrities, and they were just otherworldly people, right? But they're people that you can access. I mean, I'm even this morning name dropping Brian Head Welch from Korn. Grew up listening to all their music, still listen to it, texting him, talking to him. Busy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony. We're at about 260 something episodes, and a lot of these episodes are people who I've looked up to. And I've manifested it. How did I manifest it? Sending an email, creating a show, whatever the case is. Like, it works in different ways, but it's like what you want, you believe it, you send it out there, you breathe life into it, speak it into existence, and you create it. Hard work, consistency, all of that stuff pays off. But just to see the magic behind all of this stuff, that like, man, never in a million years would I have thought that. And even like, you know, when I seen that article, I was like, it's something I could do. I can get her on. I can talk to her. It would be a great conversation. I loved it. Picked her brain about all of this stuff that I'm truly interested in, and truly interested in her opinion, especially the movie E.T., like all of the symbolism and all of the creativity and inspiration and magic and all that is embedded within that movie that she had a part in creating, and it's gone down in history as one of the greatest movies of all times. It's crazy. Manifestation is key. And she's teaching that. She's not hoarding it up, keeping it for herself. She's doing teachings, like literally talking about doing a private session with her. I think they're really cheap. I'm not going to say the price, but they're like under $100, I think. Maybe. I might be mistaken, but I think they're under $100 to get a private session from her. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, I don't know what it is, whether, Hollywood or the internet is a huge part of it. But a lot of people who you thought or think are inaccessible, you can send them an email or send their publicist an email. I remember Michael Basham had Rick Joyner on his show. Todd Bentley is messaging me wanting to come on and hang out. Like, so many of these people that just nostalgic, even in the 2000s, like bands I was listening to who were big. Like, I don't know if it's time. Maybe they have to come down off that pedestal a little bit. Maybe that's it. Once they like at their height, maybe they're hard to get to, but once they everything kind of pans out and kind of plateaus off, then you can get access to them. I don't know what it is, but I do believe in the power of manifestation, and it's beautiful. And I'm not stopping. I don't think you should either. Keep moving forward, man. Creating the life that you want for yourself, the business, the healing business, the podcast, whatever it is that you want to create, that you feel like you have something beautiful to offer the world. Like, bring it out. Whatever it is. Creativity, man, and seeing people thrive and living their best life. It's beautiful. Heck, I have a one of my rap songs, I even mentioned E.T. What as I said, exoskeleton shell of an alien. On the mothership, I fellowship with E.T. and Elliot. Like, and it's crazy. And I'm interviewing E.T.'s mom, like the mom from E.T. What was it? She had that scene. And the weird thing is like watching these movies. Me, my cousins, I'm liable to jump in the character at any moment. Any of these characters from any of these movies I've watched. And what she had, this is no room. This is an accident. Like, these iconic phrases that we grew up with and these characters, and just, remembering all of that stuff. And now I'm having a conversation with her. My mind is just blown. God continues to blow my mind every day. I love it. I'm glad that I'm still open to having my mind blown. Do you hear that, God? I'm open. Greater things are yet to come, right? we get comfortable in this stuff sometimes, and we have to like shake ourselves up again with the movies and the roller coasters and are you still alive? Like, come on. But I think it's healthy, man, and it's cool to have that conversation because there seems to be that duality. Like, why are you into horror movies, but then you're still working with fear? And I know a lot of Christians will quote, God did not give you the spirit of fear, but the power and love and a sound mind. Well, for me, I think a big part of it is wanting to like revisit the nostalgia is one thing. To watch a lot of older horror. There's a nostalgia there. It makes you feel young again. Remember when you was a kid watching these, but also being able to watch it and not be freaked out like I was when I was a kid. Like to be able to kind of look those monsters in the face, something that maybe even tortured you when you was a kid, to be able to watch it now. Some people, there's still movies they can't watch. There's still music they can't listen to because it represents a certain time in their life. Maybe the music is somewhat demonic or dark. There are levels to that, I will say. There's some movies that you think you're watching just a horror movie and you're like, oh wow, this is crazy, this is demonic, like this is insane, why am I watching this? And you gotta walk away and repent. Like I've had some of that happen too. But creativity and just a roller coaster of emotions versus just like, oh, it's just a love story or whatever the case. I'm just into that kind of stuff. I don't know about you guys, but man, healing sessions. She's a clairvoyant, intuitive healer. Her story is amazing, and there's so much more that we didn't even get to talk about. Didn't even get to cover. It's awesome. Love it. Want to make sure that I plug our men's retreat. We have another men's retreat that is available for those who want to come in April of 2020. Tickets are available at truthseeker.com. There were 7 seats in total, 7 beds. It's an overnight stay. We're going out into the forest and we're going to encounter God in the forest. So if you want to come spend the weekend with me, tickets are available. Truthseeker.com. It's the Reset, Refresh, and Renew men's retreat. We have one in January that's already booked. We also have another one that we're booking for in April, so check that out. My wife is still booking for hers in April. Any of the ladies in the community, any the females listening, and you want to be a part of something like that, she's got all the information and all that stuff on her website, and you could check her out on Facebook as well. But I don't forgot the name of the website. What's the website? Okay. Anyway, did you go to my Facebook page? You'll be able to see it. All the info's there. Shout out to everybody hanging out with us in the chat. Shout out to everybody listening on the podcast apps, wherever you are. Thank you guys for all the support. The book, again, the book is doing amazing. Shout out to everybody who is supporting on Patreon. All the new listeners, crazy. Podcast numbers continue to go up like every month now. It's really, really awesome. So shout out to you guys. Make sure you dig into the back catalog of work because we've interviewed so many amazing people and had so much crazy conversation, and there's a lot of truth. There's a lot of nuggets in there in some of those episodes. So make sure you go through that stuff and check it out. Also, too, there's ad opportunities available. If you would like to promote your work, your book, your music, whatever it is, your healing service, I don't care. As long as it's like conducive to what we are about here on the podcast, I'd love to feature it. So there's advertising packages and opportunities at truthseeker.com/advertise. truthseeker.com/advertise. Go there, check that out. All of the cool stuff coming down the pipeline. Excited. I don't know if you guys have seen the clip. I haven't talked about it on here, but I made a snippet and posted it on the Facebook page and YouTube. But it was a clip from the Joe Rogan podcast where this guy, Paul Stamets, I think is his name, Stamets, was talking to Joe Rogan, and he was speaking about mushrooms, doing a mushroom seminar, and he said that one of this guy came to him after the seminar, and he said he looked the part, looked like he was a spiritual type guy, and came to the seminar, came up to him and told him that some of the people that he was really close to Billy Graham, and in Billy Graham circles, and some of those guys would use magic mushrooms to talk to God and use them as sacraments to get closer to God. I thought that was really interesting. Tried to do some research on it. There wasn't a lot of stuff about Billy Graham, but there is a lot of stuff about the communal aspect of Amanita muscaria and some other types of psilocybin being forms of communion, the bread and body of Christ, even for communion. Is very interesting. If you haven't seen that clip, make sure you go to you can go to truthseeker.com. It's there, but it's on my YouTube as well. Let me see here, go through these comments right quick before we go. Snooky says she loves horror movies. What's up, Snooky? Christy says, come on, woman, come hang out with me and Truth Seeker's wife. Yeah, Christy, folks, she will be there, and that's right, you guys come hang out. Fluman says already in progress. Let's see. Chris, did you make a podcast with Joe Rogan or Alex Jones? No. If not, would you? For sure. Yeah, we can get them on. I'd love to have both of those guys on. It'd be awesome, right? Chris Garner says his son had a book fair this week. Dude, I remember getting a little $7, $5 and seeing what you can buy. I remember I used to get in trouble because sometimes we would have those book fairs and I would go and I'd buy a poster. They have like Michael Jordan posters, and I'd come home with it. My mom was like, "You're supposed to buy a book. Why you bought a $10 Michael Jordan poster?" For sure. Let's see. Going through these comments. Trump saying he wanted war with cartels, military, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, man, this was such a good episode, man. And I love approaching this from all the different angles, and the things that you believe, they become true for you. Like, again, there was a lot of like comments that I seen on like Facebook, people saying that aliens are demons. Well, guess what? To you, they are. They're coming to get you. Be careful. Don't sin. They'll come get you. But to other people, they're angels, right? One man's trash is another man's treasure. It's all about perception, people. Looking at the same thing and seeing something totally different. You know, we talk about this all the time with manifestation, but the world says if I see it, then I'll believe it. But we know people of faith and people who are just longing to experience something greater, we found out that if we can believe it, then it shows up in our reality. If we believe it, then we will receive it. Whatever it is in your life. It's so crazy how that works. And I was kind of hinting around, but I think the universe may even be creating some of this stuff in in the simulation or whatever. Like, it just shows up. Like the stuff that you maybe fairies aren't real. Maybe fairies don't exist. But if you believe hard enough, they exist and manifest and can appear to you. You know what I'm saying? I think we're probably along closer to those lines. Again, she was talking about the Matrix being real, and the Matrix had it right. It's very interesting about manifestation, about what you can believe, that you can receive. The time period is interesting, though. Like, can you get good enough to instantly have that encounter? Maybe. Is there 6 months? Is there 3 months? 6 hours? I think there's probably levels to that of maybe how big the idea is, or how outside of maybe your paradigm or your consciousness, and then the people that's around you, do they receive it? Like, maybe the people who's around you, they have to kind of be 50% with it, and they counter balance the manifestation process. There's definitely some truth in that. With placebo, with healings, with Jesus, right? Going into cities, couldn't heal anything because of their fear, doubt, and unbelief. He was rendered powerless. Jesus Christ was rendered powerless in certain cities and couldn't heal anyone. Other cities he would go to, they heard about him. They heard about one miracle he did. It's spread throughout the whole region. So when they seen him, they expected something. Their faith had already risen up to this level. There's percentages. I've even heard people break down these percentages somewhere. Like, there's an actual percentages they have it broken down to with manifestation in the people, until it shifts the consciousness of that region or that city or that church or that family or whatever. I can't, I'm trying to believe for us all, but I need you to kind of come up here with me and let's do it together, because you're counteracting and making it a little bit harder. Maybe you're rowing against me in the boat, right? To manifestation, to believe and receive whatever you want. You can feel it. Like, I've been in church services where people are just like skeptics, or different places where people are skeptics, or even concerts where people are just like got their arms folded up against the wall. They're not really into it. So it makes it hard for the guy to get into it. But when everyone's into it, when everyone's having a good time and everyone shows up, like, the whole energy of the whole place changes. That's done in church services. I mean, I have to relate that to, because that's where I've spent a lot of time, in these different meetings and church services where all these people believe in something crazy, and then something crazy happens. I mean, we've heard about, I can't validate, I've never seen this, but we've heard about like people being in church services and home meetings where like they're praying and they're all believing for these miraculous miracles, and emeralds and rupees and diamonds just start formulating and falling out of the sky, because the people believed it. Like, weird stuff that like starts manifesting and happening there. There's some crazy stories out there. I know David Wilcock talks a lot about things appearing out of nowhere because the people believed it. It's really deep. It's really deep. So if we have a piece of that, maybe you're not making rupees form on command, but maybe you're speaking to your mountains, and your mountains are being removed. Your mountains are becoming molehills, and you're stepping right over what seemed to be so big. Maybe there's a Goliath in your way, and it looks like there's no way you'll get by him. And then you have this little sling and a stone, and with one hit, he's taken out. He falls at your feet, and you walk past, and you inherit the land. Whatever it is, just to believe for the unbelievable. Somebody has to do it. Stand in the gap. Podcasts like these, it sparks awe. It sparks wonder, imagination. All of that is in the equation of spiritual alchemy, moving from one level to the next, believing in yourself, believing in those around you, and expecting awe, expecting wonder, expecting miracles, expecting favor, expecting faith, expecting doors to be open, expecting everyone in your group to come up to the level that you are, like, doing it. Right? Start believing for the greater things, and you'll receive it. Manifest it. Shout out to Home Sauce, Freedom Grower. Home Sauce says, I manifest. Chris says, creating something we haven't encountered yet. That's what it's called. That's why it's called the unknown. Yeah, right? I know it's something different, right? It's peering into the unknown, something we haven't seen. Most of us can, like, if we've seen it one time, then we can believe for it. It's like a testimony. Right? If this has already happened, then it's something that we can replicate. God is not a respecter of persons. So if he did it for this person, he can do it for us. We can create it. But it's when you're peering out, when you're like a forerunner into some of these territories, it gets a little scary. But that's when your faith is really tested. To see what you truly believe, when you're the only one out there. Look at Jesus, right? Going around finding these random people that he can put on his team. And raising them each up and working with them until they was able to go out and do the same things that he was doing. So much so that people were expecting his friends, when they came to town, that everyone would be healed. So much so that when we seen his friends, that they would be able to cast out demons and change the consciousness of the city. It's deep, man. Raising those people up. You have to be doing that. You have to be pouring out into people. I definitely do that on the podcast. I do that with our online community. And as long as you keep pouring out and you keep getting it out, God will continue to fill your cup up. So it just kind of works hand in hand. You get filled up, you pour out, you get filled up, you pour out, and you just keep it going. Each one, reach one, and together we'll change the world. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. TruthSeeker.com. Advertising opportunities available for you. If you want to get your book out, if you want to interview, whatever it is, go over there, check it out. TruthSeeker.com/advertise. Also my Patreon for all of you guys who want to partner with me. Shout out to everybody who's partnering with me there. I think we're at like an all-time high, honestly, like on Patreon. Like I think, let me see what the number is, 153. And we're almost at the end of the month. Probably like an all-time high. Thank you guys for sticking with me. The day ones. The day sevens, like all of you people who've been there for a very long time, man. Thank you. Teamwork makes the dream work. You are co-creating this. You share in the blessings, in the labor. this wouldn't have happened without your help. This Dee Wallace interview wouldn't have happened. Thank you guys so much for believing in my work. And patreon.com/truthseeker. Check it out. Love you guys. Peace, peace.
Have a book, product, or service you'd like to promote? Look no further. Ad slots and commercials are now available for you to get the word out about what you do on the Truth Seeker podcast.
We give you what you need.
Engage the spiritual community and get yourself instantly in front of thousands of listeners who explore the spiritual, paranormal, supernatural, religious, and metaphysical realms. Have your commercial inserted into our entire archive of episodes. That includes the one with Jordan Maxwell, James Gilliland, Dr. Michael Heiser, and that weird one with Busy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony. Stop sleeping on yourself. Know your worth. Let's get the word out today about what you have to offer. Head on over to truthseeker.com and click on advertise for more info.
Your way so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine, so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the Truth Seeker podcast, head over to truthseeker.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/truthseeker.